That's right, the election is 6 days away, and of course, it's all anyone can talk about, especially after President Biden appeared to call Trump supporters garbage. Today, Kamala Harris was like, could someone drop Joe in a corn maze and leave him there until Wednesday? Just have him wander?
A corn maze? Isn't that redundant? Isn't that repetitive? Isn't that unnecessarily duplicative? Because my people call corn maize. You see, that's first thing that occurred to me. Well, happy Thursday and happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. You see, what was it, Al Roker? Al Roker in whiteface. Al Roker in whiteface today, which is okay because liberal racism is the good kind. It's the good kind. They don't quite feel that way when they don't reflect very much, but when they're reminded that they were the Confederate States of America and they were Jim Crow, but never mind all that. I've got a bit of update for you on some of that, and the Democrats they love racism, don't they? Boy, the biggest racists in the conversation. The racists of racism, the Democrat Party. Again, I've got a bit of a raspy voice because I don't have the Wuhan. I don't have the woo, but I got a little something because I'm probably illegal aliens. I'm going to blame illegal aliens. They might be Chinese illegal aliens, but I'm not sure. You see the illegal alien in Chicago from Mauritania that shot the Jewish guy on his way to synagogue while yelling Allahu Akbar. That's not in the news. The news media, they don't cover that because it doesn't benefit the Democrat Party to point out that the Democrats have waved millions of illegal aliens into the country and that a lot of them are murderers and genocidal anti-Semites. And, of course, a lot of Democrats are genocidal anti-Semites in the United States these days, too. Kind of a remarkable time to be out there. But we've got a lot going on, as you might imagine. And the Washington Post, what a bucket of beep this thing is. I got to tell you, I had to beep that out because, FCC regulations. But what an amazing, their lead story today under election 2024. Biden's, quote, garbage, end quote, remark has Harris seeking distance. But the news media is saying there's nothing to see here. Why would, they got on MSDNC this morning and on CNN, and everybody, they're like, well, no, there was nothing. There's an apostrophe. If we just put an apostrophe in the White House, they revised the transcript. They made the transcript different because they thought it didn't make Joe Biden and the Democrats look good. So because they enjoy information dominance in the media and beyond, they know that they can just change what was said. It's very Orwellian. This is, what room number was it in 1984 where they went where they were changing history? And this is very Orwellian stuff. They're fascists when you boil it right down. Amazing stuff. How many people will be shot by Democrats this year? It's a question that ought to be asked. If only the Republicans knew how to do politics, they might be doing better. I'm not sure. But we are now, it is Thursday, and Election Day, as we used to call it, is Tuesday. Coming up, not day before yesterday, but the next Tuesday. And we got a lot going on, a lot of early voting. And people say, oh, did you early vote? Well, no, I voted early. I don't know if I did. Did you early vote? It's a term now. It's a term of art. You've got to early vote. Semantically, I think it would be better as vote early. You need to vote early. Maybe that's because I'm from Chicago where they say vote early, vote often. That's another thing altogether. Also on the front page of the Washington Post today, amazingly, Jeff Bezos, the centibillionaire Amazon rich guy, he owns the Washington Post. Like some people own a pair of shoes. He owns the Washington Post, right? And the headline below the fold front page, in Bezos's empire, a rising engagement with D.C. I think maybe he's trying to buy political influence, and it's on the front page of his own newspaper today. He should fold up this paper so that it never darkens our door again. And I have it right here. I have it delivered to my door every day. And it's quite a vessel, this thing. Remarkable stuff. Federal government is now contracting billions to AWS and Blue Origin. These they're being critical. Oh no, the owner of the Washington Post is getting billions in contracts with the government. No kidding, Scoop. He got hundreds of hundreds of millions in contracts from the CIA shortly before he bought the Washington Post for a much lesser sum than the CIA was paying him. But there's nothing to see there. Isn't that amazing? So they've got 4 reporters. They should all resign now or self-immolate in front of the Washington Post building, which I think would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? I mean, we haven't had a Democrat self-immolate in a little while. It's been some time, but, I don't give up hope on these things because now that they've made it trendy, self-immolation, yes, sir, they've got a lot going on. But the Washington Post, every story is a pro-Biden, pro-Kamala Harris story, except when it's an anti-Trump story. The entire newspaper, they had people commit career suicide when the newspaper declined, when Jeff Bezos declined to endorse Kamala Harris. The same thing happened at the Los Angeles Times. They had to put nets up around the building because people were resigning, and they thought, oh no, are they going to start throwing themselves from windows on high floors? Are they going to go to the roof and hurl themselves off, hurtling to the ground? I like hurling and hurtling in one sentence. So we got that. Amazing stuff. And the Washington Post, page 2 story today. The headline is, an apostrophe could settle the score of Biden's, quote, garbage, end quote, comment. And they're trying to clean it up for him because they're filth, because they're absolute filth. And a man, I think he's a man, Aaron Blake, normally that would be a man's name, but you never can tell. He might have an innie and not an outie because they're Democrats and gender is kind of confusing for them, as I think you know. Remarkable stuff. An apostrophe could settle the score of Biden's garbage. And it couldn't. Trust me, it couldn't. But something truly remarkable happened last night, and it was truly remarkable. President Trump put on a display of political mastery last night in Green Bay, Wisconsin, which will go down in the archives of American political history as an extraordinary moment, President Trump and presumably some of his peeps involved, too. They say, hey, Joe Biden's calling us and all of our supporters garbage, right? Because they're filth, and Joe Biden's brain is a bucket of mush, to be generous. But he called us all garbage, and they say, gee, this could be a political liability. Let's lie and say that if you put an apostrophe next to that, George Orwell, calling George Orwell, call on line 3, if we put an apostrophe in here, then we can lie and create a big lie. And then people on MSNBC and at the Washington Post, and they say, oh, no, there's an apostrophe. See, he didn't say what you think he said. Here's the videotape, rectal aperture.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Yeah, it's his supporters. And they say, no, it's not his supporters, like multiple supporters. Just one supporter who is a comedian that was at the Madison Square Garden event who made a joke. And nobody in the news media, because they all have their heads wedged up inside of one another's dark and remote locations. They're doing a conga line. It's like an old cartoon conga line with their heads inside of one another's dark and remote regions. Remarkable stuff, but just amazing. If they have access to the internet, maybe that's why the Democrats want to get high-speed internet to everybody, because newsrooms don't have access to the internet or something. But remarkable stuff. Just Google. Use the Google machine. Go to DuckDuckGo. I use DuckDuckGo. But still, Google is like Xerox. It's just the word. Means you're searching the internet, and Xerox means you're making a copy of something. Because Democrats usually somebody else's paychecks, something like that. But remarkable stuff. You go and Google Puerto Rico garbage crisis, and you'll see years worth of stories from National Panhandler Radio and beyond about the garbage crisis on the island of Puerto Rico, because it's an island. What do you do with your garbage? They have landfills, but they're all beyond capacity already. And so I want to get into that. But President Trump last night in Green Bay, Wisconsin, showed up in a really beautiful garbage truck. It was like a brand new, just off the assembly line, shiny white garbage truck with an American flag flying off of the right windshield and a Trump 2024 flag flying off of the left windshield. President Trump, it was recommended, take off your blue jacket. He usually wears a blue suit and a white shirt and a red tie, and with some variation, but that's his uniform. And he showed up where this garbage truck with the big Trump logo on the side of the garbage truck and this shiny, beautiful garbage truck. And it pulled up with the Trump campaign logo on the side of the big garbage truck. And President Trump was wearing an orange and yellow safety vest, And he showed up and climbed into the garbage truck and spoke a bit out the window with his arm hanging out the window and his elbow on the, and he spoke a bit. And then he went to a rally and he kept the vest on. He kept the vest on for the entire rally. And he talked about, the hate-filled, radical, violent rioting, looting, cop killing, police car burning, courthouse attacking mob, that is the Democrat Party, burning the church of the presidents and forcing the evacuation of the president and the first family from the White House. It's funny how none of this comes up except here, because our news media is a gang of expletives deleted to beat the band. And I don't know how they found so many corrupt people to put into one industry, but it's one of the miracles of the left that they can corrupt anything. It's just extraordinary what they've done to our news media. And even Jeff Bezos, the centibillionaire owner of the Washington Post, which he owns like some people own a pair of cufflinks. And even he put out a statement the other day saying, well, nobody trusts us, so nobody should trust us. Boy, truer words were never spoken. And how strange that they came from the owner of the Washington Post, who's a lifelong Democrat and Democrat donor, mega donor. They love their billionaires as long as their billionaires are subservient to the party. And Bezos is another billionaire, like Jack Dorsey when he owned Twitter, like Mark Zuckerberg. As long as these centibillionaires are subservient to the party, then the party allows them to continue to operate and to function as usual, which quite honestly is the way the Nazi party operated. They didn't destroy every industry. If the industrial chieftains agreed to serve the interests of the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler, then they were allowed from Kruppstahl on down, and Mercedes-Benz and a Daimler, and it goes on and on. IG Farben. If these German industrialists served the interests of the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler, then they were allowed to continue to operate. Benito Mussolini described fascism in a magazine interview as a merger of state and corporate power. And we've got a merger of state and corporate power up the yin-yang in the United States of America. Just amazing stuff. From the network news broadcasts and the cable news to the Washington Post and the newspapers, and it's quite remarkable, I've got to say, how corrupt our culture has become. Oh, speaking of which, there's an update on the FBI. The National Review has an update on the FBI and how profoundly criminally corrupt so many people at the FBI are and have been, and tampering with our elections. At the FBI, we know the intelligence community and penitentiary face Brennan, who should be in a penitentiary, should legitimately be in a penitentiary now for tampering in our election with an information operation that they ran against the American people on the lead up to Election Day. And now National Review has a great piece on the FBI and how they tampered with our election. They had the Hunter Biden laptop. They verified the contents and the authenticity of the Hunter Biden laptop. They knew it was all true. And they had, at least 30 conversations, we'll call them conversations, with a gun to the head, conversations with the information titans, the information oligarchs, about killing the story that would have changed the outcome of the presidential election. So the FBI and the CIA are now the KGB and the FSB. Honestly, these organizations need to be stripped down to their bare throbbing spines, and we need to start over again, because the left has corrupted the federal government, the deep state, the permanent bureaucracy, whatever you'd like to call it, profoundly corrupt country, the United States of America. And our institutions have been corrupted by the Democrat Party in the interest of securing power, naturally. We continue to be at 888-630-9625, and I'm just scratching the surface because there's a whole lot more today as you might imagine. The warmongering Democrats. What is the matter with them? Why do they want to have us in so many wars? And, you know, we don't want them to bring it home like they did the last time when they fired on Fort Sumter. Creepy Democrats. So many amazing stories today. Kamala Harris, what a hapless wingnut she is. Extraordinary stuff. All right, let's see. We've got, hey, look at that. Oh, no, it's a little early. People are still having breakfast, but we'll go anyway. Let's go to the telephones. We are at 888-630-9625. Let's go to Mike the Lib. Mike the Lib calling from Gainesville, Virginia. Mike the Lib, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Well, thanks for taking my call, Chris. I'm here at early voting at the Haymarket Gainesville Library. We have 3 more days. Last polls close at 5 o'clock on Saturday.
How many times are you going to vote?
What?
How many times are you going to vote? You're there every day.
We can only vote once. I'm here. I'm here spreading the word. I'm spreading the warning from the general.
What's the word?
Millie.
What's the word? General Millie?
Warning. Millie and yeah. And I have a sign on my car saying Trump is a fascist. And
you
in
do.
addition to stop Trump's lies about voter fraud.
That's
and
good.
Stop Republican voter fraud, because Republican voter fraud is lying about voter fraud. Yes, this is unique. This is a unique warning.
Now, wait a minute. There's voter fraud, but not when Republicans talk about voter fraud.
Yeah, they lie about voter fraad because there isn't any real voter fraud.
There isn't any real voter. What kind of voter fraud is there?
Less than 100 individual cases of voter fraud occur in 2020.
Well, hang on.
Less than 100 cases.
Now, Mike the Lib.
You have to file a criminal charge, Chris. They filed no criminal charges.
Mike
the
the Lib.
They submitted no evidence.
Hang on, Mike the Lib. You're off your meds, aren't you?
Dick Cheney was chief of staff for Gerald Ford, and he never called him a fascist. Colin Powell was chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff. He never called George Bush a fascist. So this is totally unique in American history.
Now, yesterday, the Supreme Court ruled that Virginia could proceed with the 1,600, listen and learn now, the 1,600 plus people in Virginia alone, who wrote on mostly DMV forms that they're not citizens, yet they registered.
No, they forgot to check the block. That's all they did. They forgot to check the block.
What block did they forget to check?
But our attorney general and our governor are the laziest people on earth.
Maybe they're fascists. Are they Nazis?
You have to do investigation. No, you have to do investigation. They're just lazy.
Why did you say there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and get us into that war? What is the matter with you? Bum, bum, bum. They just forgot to check the box. That's all it is. They only forgot to check the box. Well, Mike the Lib, every day is an IQ test, and if you fail the IQ test, then you're probably a Democrat. And that's why the Democrats are organizing violent mobs. And by the way, CBS News in Detroit, non-U.S. citizen charged for illegally voting in Michigan. Michigan student, a non-U.S. citizen, charged with voting. Well, he's charged with voting. Can you believe that? Why would he be voting? Nobody does that. It doesn't happen. And you got to charge him if you're going to charge him. Yes, sir. That is just crazy. And in Michigan, also in Michigan, the Arab and Muslim leadership, community leadership, have come out in support of President Trump, which the Democrats will now try to find a way to spin as a negative because God knows they're racists. Bunch of racist Chinese student facing criminal charges for voting in Michigan. You got the ballot, and that's okay. Democrats mail them out to everybody. And then you can harvest them in apartment buildings and put on your blue rubber surgical gloves. They're latex, I think, and put them in drop boxes. And then an illegal alien, what do we have? We have the Free Gaza gang in Washington State and Oregon burning ballot boxes, the drop boxes for ballots, right? Because they're violent and they love burning things. Sometimes themselves, which is the funnier version of the story, I've got to say. Remarkable stuff. Also, since Mike the Lib, you mentioned, I don't know why you're talking about Colin Powell and, Dick Cheney. He's backing Kamala Harris. So you guys are now in bed with Dick Cheney, who you painted as Satan incarnate, Satan on earth for decades. And then he says, I'll vote for your girl. And it's like, yay, Dick Cheney's on our side. Now I think he might be Satan now that he's on your side. And you guys, you're the after-school Satan Club people and harvest the organs of 1 million innocent children a year and threaten to wipe Israel off the map from the river to the sea and have college students chanting that on college campuses, Ivy League and beyond across America. The after-school Satan Club people really are taking a hold. You death grip people. But since you mentioned Mike the Lib, Colin Powell, for example, who I met several times, a number of times, and I love the way this headline reads: Brigadier General Buzz Aldrin endorses Donald J. Trump for President of the United States. Now, calling Buzz Aldrin a brigadier general is kind of underselling, like Laurence Olivier, who acted in a high school play. That's, Tom Brady, who threw a football once. Yeah, Brigadier General Buzz Aldrin, one of the most extraordinary people on the face of the earth, the second man to walk on the moon. Neil Armstrong got out of the Lunar Excursion Module, the LEM, ahead of Buzz Aldrin. And Neil Armstrong became the first man to walk on the moon, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. And then Buzz Aldrin got out and walked around. I'd say he's a fighter pilot in the Korean War and, kind of a superhero, I've got to say. I wish that I had walked on the moon. He was Apollo 11, of course, and Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, as any child knows, July 20th of 1969. And men walked on the moon for the first time, cisgender, straight, white men from the United States of America, you're welcome, the patriarchy. And then, as any school child can tell you, a total of 12 men have walked on the moon. They were all Americans. I've asked idiot Democrats this question before. How many men have walked on the moon and from what countries? And they have no idea. Just now, it's kind of a big deal, 12 men have walked on the moon, all from the Apollo program. Extraordinary stuff. First, we had Mercury, then, the Mercury 7, then Gemini, and Mercury 1 astronaut, Gemini 2 astronauts, Apollo 3 astronauts, and Apollo 11 finally landed on the moon. Maybe you saw the movie Apollo 13. That might be all that a lot of people know about it. Remarkable stuff. But in any case, back to Buzz Aldrin. Buzz Aldrin, here is the story from Newsweek magazine. Newsweek, they still exist. Buzz Aldrin, the second person to walk on the moon. They don't want to say man because it might be sexist. The second person to walk on the moon has endorsed former President Donald Trump's bid for the White House. A blow to Vice President Kamala Harris. When you're talking about Kamala Harris, should you use that phrasing? I'm just kind of curious about that because with early voting underway nationwide and Election Day less than a week away, Trump and Harris, Republican and Democrat presidential nominees, respectively, are making their final arguments to win voters' support. And Joe Biden helped, and he helped. Just amazing stuff, right? Because he came out to call half the country garbage. And then they lied to us, and they said, no, there's an apostrophe there. Therefore,
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
yeah, and but Buzz Aldrin said, the president, he wrote a statement, the president, and by the way, he looks like he's 70 years old. He's 94 years old, and he looks like he's 70. He looks like you still wouldn't want to fight him. The presidency requires an understanding of human nature, clarity in judgment, decisiveness, knowledge, understanding, and calm under pressure. Few have a natural ability to manage or the life experience to successfully undertake, Buzz Aldrin wrote in a statement. Just amazing, amazing stuff. Says the presidency requires sober analysis of situations and an instinct to lead with resolve. And Buzz Aldrin said, from the skies over Korea in air-to-air combat to navigating, landing, and walking on the moon, I appreciate this kind of pressure. Yeah, I think that's probably true. I know what it is. I know what it's like to have to make these kinds of decisions firmly on principle, with resolve and follow through. Training, experience, and trust matter. Come on, Buzz Aldrin, you kidding me? I want to buy this guy dinner. I want to hang out with him. He's too amazing for words. Naturally, just remarkable. And then the Newsweek idiots, they say, well, polling data shows a razor-thin margin between the candidates, one of whom is in a coma intellectually, as Harris leads nationally with 49% of the vote to Trump's 48% of the vote. But if you add those up, you don't get to 100%. Isn't that interesting? According to the Economist's poll tracker, Nate Silver's forecast shows Harris 0.9 points ahead in the polls. 0.9. That's less than 1%. And how can we be this divided, this perfectly divided? I think the left and Satan, just amazing. And because Nate Silver says that she's 0.9 points ahead, 0.9% ahead, they say she has a 71% chance of winning. How do you have a 71% chance of winning when you're 0.9% ahead? That's pretty crazy. But, you know, the pollsters are corrupt. The news media is corrupt. We live in very corrupt times. I've never seen humanity as corrupt as it is today. Now, I wasn't there for World War II and FDR and interning the Japanese and, ignoring the Holocaust and not bombing the rail spurs and Auschwitz and things like that. But and I miss the Middle Ages, too. But we live in very, very corrupt times. Our culture has been corrupted, very thoroughly corrupted, truly. And Buzz Aldrin said, under the first Trump administration, I was impressed to see how human space exploration was elevated, made a policy of high importance again. Under President Trump's first term, America saw a revitalized interest in space, and he created the Space Command, too, in the military, which is kind of a big deal because the Chinese are conquering space, and they're going to murder everybody from there when they can. These are concrete accomplishments that align with my concerns and America's policy priorities, Buzz Aldrin said. So honestly, Mike the Lib, I don't care what Thoroughly Modern Millie said, because he tried to transgenderize our military, and he played high school football with that transgender person at HHS, who's the deputy secretary of dressing up like an admiral and running around screaming. Rachel Levine. Thoroughly Modern Millie played high school football with Rachel Levine, the transgender dress up like an admiral official in the Biden administration's Department of Health and Human Services. Rachel Levine and Thoroughly Modern Millie. And what Thoroughly Modern Millie also committed, I don't know, is it treason when he called General Lee, not from the Confederacy, but from the Chinese Communist People's Liberation Army. General Milley, as chairman of the Joint Chiefs, betrayed the President of the United States, Donald Trump, because of Trump derangement syndrome, and called General Lee, L-I, not L-E-E, in Communist China to tell General Lee that he was on his side, on General Lee's side, and not on Donald Trump's side. And then that is Thoroughly Modern Millie's car. That's his car. He loves General Lee. That's isn't that amazing? Just remarkable stuff. Your Democrat Party. All right, I haven't even gotten to President Trump yesterday, but I've got a lot of President Trump. What do we have? 13 cuts, I think, of President Trump from last night, where he showed up in the garbage truck and wore the garbage collectors, the trash collectors vest, the safety vest through the rally yesterday because, you're going to call us garbage? One of the most extraordinary political moments, I think, and certainly modern political history, and it will go down in the annals. And if you're a Democrat, that doesn't mean what you think it does. and the history of American presidential politics, this moment will be marked for centuries to come. Remember, who was it? We had a liberal here that we worked with who said that Barack Obama's speech on race in Philadelphia when he was running for president would be taught in schools centuries from now. Now, nobody ever heard of the speech. The left is really thoroughly mentally ill and thoroughly modern Millie. So we got that. They like to do high kicks and participate in musical plays. All right, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Jim calling from St. Paul, Minnesota. Jimmy, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Morning, Chris. How you doing?
I'm good, Jim. What do you say?
I just wanted to remind you of what Obama once said. I think he said it on a hot mic. I'm not sure who he said it to, but he said, never underestimate the ability of Joe Biden to things up. Is that what he said?
It is. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, I think the exact quote is, don't underestimate Joe's ability to beep things up, because he was close enough to him and spent enough time with him that he knew that Joe was just a catastrophe in Italian loafers bought by Chinese interests.
That's correct, right up to the end here. So one last thing. When my garbage goes out tonight,
yeah,
in big, beautiful permanent marker, it's going to be written on there, thank you for your service. I mean, I love my garbage man, so.
That's funny because I live in a building in Washington, D.C., and the garbage men that come to our building, there are dumpsters and stuff, and the garbage men, the trash collectors come to our building. Everybody in our building comments on how great they are and how wonderful they are, and cheerfully greet them. And these are like solid guys, and they're clear-eyed, and they engage in conversation, and they're fun, and they're always having a good time with each other, back and forth. And our garbage men are actually beloved, which is a strange word, by the people in our building. Whenever I see them, when I run into them, we always talk, have a brief conversation. They're always in a hurry because they're busy, But great guys, tough work. And President Trump thanked them last night too, right, Jim?
That's right. They're Americans. That's who we are. We're hardworking, and we get it done.
And it's funny, we had a conversation, my best girl and I had a conversation. We were watching President Trump, and he thanked the trash collectors, and he's wearing the vest and showed up in the garbage truck and all this stuff. And we said, that these are very important. Like if the Democrats want to remove all the police off the street because they love crime and murder and mayhem and Mad Max beyond Thunderdome, and given their druthers, that's where we'd live. But you can't remove all the police. And if you removed all the trash collectors all at once, civilization would be over in a matter of days. It'd be Haiti. We'd have cannibal gangs running everywhere. It'd be like Joe Biden's uncle in Papua New Guinea. The cannibals everywhere. Isn't it amazing? Jim, thanks for the call. Listen, I'm going to get to President Trump coming up right after the top of the hour, and we got a lot of good stuff. And then crazy people, a lot of crazy people. Some call themselves journalists. The crazy people all call themselves Democrats, even though they're incredibly undemocratic. And we are at 888-630-9625. Yeah, President Trump yesterday, Green Bay, Wisconsin, an epic political moment, a watershed moment in American politics, taking the attack on 50% of America, or is it 49.8% to 48.9%? Isn't that the most evenly divided country in the history of the world? Not since 1861 has the country been this divided, and it's all because of the Democrats, because they're Nazis and fascists and baby killers, and they are a lot of bad things. But we don't spend all of our time just reminding everyone what a gang of pigs they are, because it would be impolite. We try to be polite. We try to be polite for a long, long time. We put up Mitt Romney and the fake news media, the corrupt news media, the filth at the Washington Post and beyond, where what have they lost? 250,000 subscriptions now. They've lost 250,000 subscribers, the Washington Post has, since they announced that they're not endorsing Kamala Harris because even their readers are fascists. Even all their readers are, oh, well, I can't participate. No, my newspaper has to be biased and overtly and openly biased for the Democrat Party. Otherwise, I will not give them my whatever amount of money it is, And to have the newspaper delivered to your house is a lot. It's like $1,000 a year or something like that. And then you get it online for a lot less. But you should get the Washington Times online. Get the Washington Times online. Much, much better use of your valuable money. But we got remarkable stuff. I think it's a fake. I think it's a fake. But there is today's Halloween. It's Halloween. So the Democrats are worshiping Satan as usual. That's not really a Halloween thing with them. It's just how they raise children. That and gender dysphoria, the Democrats. And it's like Epstein Island is North America now because the Democrats are in charge. But this Halloween costume company, Spirit, they've got a waste management costume kit that you can buy. But now there's one, and I think it's just a Photoshop thing of President Trump wearing his garbage collector vest, trash collector vest. And it looks like you can buy the Donald Trump trash collector vest from the costume makers, and it's pretty funny, I've got to say. Spirit thing, Garbage Man includes its picture of Trump bumping his fist wearing the trash collector orange vest with the bright yellow stripes and stuff. It comes with perfect hair, awesomeness, great dance moves. Right. And a plan to clean up trash in Washington, D.C. We could use that. Listen, as soon as we come back, I'm going to get into President Trump from last night with a big, big event. A really important moment in political history. That is coming up.